If our leadership is mixing with other faiths, how do we support them? If our leadership is mixing with other faiths, how do we support them? Other faiths. Faiths. Other denominations? Yes, ma'am.
Mixing. I don't get the mixing with associating with.
We're going to ask another question.
Fellowshipping. Fellowshipping. Your leader is fellowshipping with other Reformation. Put it that way. That's not always bad. It's not bad at all, because personally, you may be able to help them, and it's a possibility you can learn some things from them. I have a community Christian women and men fellowship organized for 32 years. I have Baptists, Methodists, and some other name that's not very popular. Like, you know, old-time Baptists. We got all kind of new name coming up now. But it's not the name, it's the individuals. And it gives you an opportunity to really go down the road the straight way. They learn from you. So it's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you can bring people into a fuller knowledge of God through your belief in your Reformation, things that they don't understand. I have been asked to speak at many various Reformation, Baptist, AME, CME, you name it. The other day I was invited to, what was I invited to? Presbyterian for the first time. But they had heard about me. One of our daughters of our church, she just around and around young lady. She goes around and through her public work come in contact with a lot of people. So this Presbyterian church, she became friends with some of the members there, and they invite her to come. And she goes there and fellowship with them in their various little function they have. So they have a fellowship, a community thing that they have, and they invite other women to come. And she recommended, she talked about me so much until they wanted me to come. I had never been to a Presbyterian church. But about 3 weeks ago, I took it up. I was on my way from California, Detroit, and I was on my way home. And my daughter called and told me that they would have a car ready for me to take me to Columbia, which is 100 miles from where I live. And when I went there, they had a host of seasoned women, my age and older, and some a little younger. And they had this fellowship dinner. And I thoroughly enjoyed being there. This young lady talked so much about me from our church, our daughter, from COGIC. And until they wanted to see who is this Mother Rivers that she's talking about. So I goes in there, and they said they were looking for, she told them that I was 88 years old, and what I was doing in the church. And one of them honestly said, I was looking for a little old swivel-up lady coming in here, 88 years old. She said, but when she came in, I said, she can't be. They're talking to themselves. And then she told me, my little daughter from Church of God in Christ was talking about me being a recording artist, and you know, I have a song and a special song the Lord gave me. They belong to God. So she said, now Mother, when you come, you have to sing your song, because I told them that's a special song the Lord gave you. So after my remark, well, it was a wonderful affair. It was just really an experience, because each of us, they had a male escort for each of us. We took pictures individually, and each of us had our escort to take us to the room to take our picture. brought us back. And when we went into the dinner area, each of us had our own personal escort to take us in. So I hooked this gentleman's arm, and we went on in, had my seat. And when it was time for each of us to give remark, the whole string of brothers came, and each one stood behind whoever they brought in. So when we stood up, they pulled our chair back. It was really nice. And so I gave my remarks, and then I said, well, my little sister said that you all wanted to hear my song. Well, then they began to applaud me for the song, and I got to sing a few verses, and after that, they said, wow. She said, this woman, who's supposed to be 88 years old, said her voice doesn't sound 88 years old. And her song, and they were just carrying on about what I said, the way I spoke, and the song that I sung. And everybody was just grateful. They gave me so much accolade being there. And then one of the pastor was there who was once COGIC. Or the gentleman who was holding the church. The pastor, they don't have a permanent pastor, but he's there holding the church. He came to me and told me that he grew up in the COGIC church, but he moved down to Columbia, and he was there helping with that church. And they wanted to know, will you come and do our annual Women's Day service for us? I went to another church, another Reformation in North Carolina. I walked in there, and when it was on a Wednesday, 1 o'clock on a Wednesday. And I said to myself, okay, well, I had called, wherever I'm invited, I find a Church of God in Christ person who will know them, because I want to know something about them before I go in. And they told me, yeah, they had fellowship with them before, and they're nice people and all of that. But back to my thinking, I think, okay, 1 o'clock on a Wednesday, there'll be a few cars out there. Drove up in the yard was covered with cars. 1 o'clock on a Wednesday. And when I walked into the temple, into the church, there were women there, about 1,000 women dressed in white. And they said that they got their style, their dressing, their white from the COGIC women. They had their beautiful hats on. And so I just was myself. That's all. I just talked to them. I brought the message. And I saw a gentleman sitting down in the audience. I thought, well, this is an elderly man sitting out there. Must have brought his wife or something. When it was all over, he was the bishop. He came up, he said, Mother Rivers, they have him had last remarks at the end. He said, when the ladies here approached me and said they wanted to bring you in, I granted their wishes, but I had questions. I said to myself, what is she like? How is she going to come in? And I laughed to myself. I said, I wonder if he thought I was coming in on a chariot or something. He said, but you are a wise woman of God. He said, I sat and I listened to you, and your advice was so clear. He said, I know that my women will always be blessed from your message. So I feel that I was a blessing to them. Let me tell you another thing that happened. After I had spoken, they took a speaker's offering, and they gave me nice offering. I got home, Lady Rogers, and a couple of days later, I got a letter in the mail. And when I opened it up, it had a check in there. And I said to myself, now why are they doing this? They already gave me an honorarium. But when I called to thank them for it, the lady who was the chairperson of the whole group, she said, Mother Rivers, in collecting the offering, we missed one of the baskets. And when we discovered that we had another basket, he says, one of the members asked, what are we going to do with this offering? And she said, we're going to send it to Mother Rivers. So I said, boy, that was good. I wonder if COGIC would have done that. So it was a blessing. And wherever I go, I touch people of the Church of God in Christ in that area. And they came over in full number. I went another place, and I saw a group of ladies sitting over there with black. I didn't know from the D.C. area. And when I found out the choir from D.C., COGIC choir, knew I was coming, and they came prepared to sing. So their choir had sung, and when they got through singing, just before they got ready to put me up, I saw them leaving the choir stand. And then this group of ladies in the black went to the choir stand. And when I found out it was a group of Church of God in Christ choir that had come to sing prior to my message. So there was a friendship thing there. So it's nothing wrong. You never know what blessing you are to them. And just so you know who you are, and you're not going to let nobody brainwash you to be anything else, you can be a blessing. And they told me they did a little chant that they do in their church. And the last church I talk about that sent me the offering. And it said, and we learned the yes, Lord, from the Church of God in Christ. She said, come on, lady, let's say, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. They've been trying to sing our praise. So they learned from us. So we need to be careful in being with other people. You treat them, they're your sister in the Lord, and you may be able to help them. So I have no problem with that. I know who I am, and I would not let anybody persuade me into nothing else, because I'm pleased to be a member of the Church of God in Christ. And it's your time to show your realness to them. So it all depends on what's going on there with your pastor. Maybe just in a friendship where, who knows, you may be able to bring them over into the Church of God in Christ. And then if you're weak-minded, they may draw you away, but you just remember who you are.